What is going on, you sexy, sexy motherfuckers? Welcome to another episode of Oh, Good Lighting? Who is she? This is Base Jalarin, and we're back again after this long fucking hiatus where we did absolutely the fuck nothing after we promised we would do things. Anyway, what's going on? How is everybody? How has your summer been? Mine's been pretty fucking great. It's been pretty fucking cool, and we are finally back with another video. And this video is kind of going along with Pride Month, which we are currently smack dab in the middle of it. And I figured today I would do the most on-brand thing I could possibly do, and that is to rate every single Yuri series and or one-shot that I have in my collection, and or not my collection. You'll see what I mean in a second. But anyway, let's get on with that shit. Let's just move right along. Let's make a video after, almost 2 months of being away. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's just fucking get started, huh? Alright, we're starting with the bottom of the barrel, and that is indeed NTR Netsuzo Trap, and or, as I like to say, Netsuzo Trash. It is fucking bad. I hate it so much. I am cursed and vexed to this day that I let myself just finish it to completion instead of dropping it like I wanted to. But I secretly hoped, as I collected it, that it would get better, and it never fucking did. All it is just a manga about two girls cheating on their boyfriends to have weird fetishy sex with each other. That's all it fucking is. That's all it ever is. Until like volume 6, where they try to make it out to be like an actual legitimate love story. Which, fuck you. No, it is not. It is awful, it is bad, and I fucking hate it. And that's why I took it out of my collection, and this is the last time you will ever see volume 1 again. That's the sound of me fucking throwing that book. Next up is the last uniform, which is second from the bottom only because it got cancelled a volume before it actually fucking finished. So, oopsie daisy, it's never gonna get finished and we're never gonna get an ending, which is very sad because it's a decent story. It's a very by the numbers Yuri, but it's very cute and it's very sweet, but it's unfinished as hell. And that is going to haunt me for as long as I fucking live. Surprised to see a Milk Morinaga story this low on the fucking list, but yeah, Gakuen Polizzi is most certainly a story. It has the most light and the most subtle of Yuri vibes, to the point where you don't even think it's a Yuri. It's just a story about two girls trying to be cops. There's like one kissing scene at the very end of the book where it's not even like a romantic scene. It's more like just they're trying to like throw someone off their tail. It's weak as fuck. It's probably the weakest of the Milk Morinaga entries that we've gotten. It's a fine story, but it's not a good Yuri because it's like these two girls aren't even like. It's like. What was the story? It wasn't a Yuri. It was something else, I think for sure. Futari Bea is kind of similar to Gakuen Polizzi. Now, in the most recent volumes, we're actually getting something that might actually resemble a Yuri story. But for the most part, despite how the in-between art and the covers may have you believe, it's mostly a story about two girls hanging out in their apartment, going to school. And that's it. And it's a very weak Yuri, and it's very deceptive, because just look at this fucking like cover art, like it's so fucking cute, and all they do is hang out. Just fuck. I had no idea if I was actually going to put Akuma no Riddle even on this list. Is it supposed to be a Yuri? I mean, I feel like it sort of reads like a Yuri, but at the same time I'm very confused as to what genre this is supposed to be, other than like a battle manga. And then it's all like there's like Yuri undertones, and it's like, is this a Yuri? No one's ever actually explained it to me. I don't know. But I know for certain that the ending was rushed as fuck, and I didn't like it. So yeah, that's Akuma no Riddle, motherfuckers. Now Loading has vibes of a manga where its only goal was just to have the girls kiss. And they were like, "What? How should we get to that point?" And it's like, we don't fucking know, and so they just came up with the most boring fucking story in order to get to that point. And I swear to fucking God, this was the hardest Yuri for me to ever get through, because nothing fucking it's like, stuff happens, but at the same time, it's the most boring fucking story I think I've ever read in terms of a Yuri. It was just like, Jesus fucking Christ, like, all that matters is that these two hook up, and that's it. That's the only, like, major thing that fucking happens in the story, and it just, I feel like I wasted my time just reading it. Hungry for You and Doyasko Stalks the Night is a decent premise. It's a decent Yuri for what it is. I'm just not the biggest fan of Yuri comedies. I'm here just for the romance and the haha funnies sort of drag it down. It might be different for you, and that's valid as hell, but it just wasn't my favorite, and I feel like it could have used at least one more volume in order to have a stronger conclusion. Citrus exists. It's just, like, at one point, I really like Citrus, but at the same time, I like actually stop and think about Citrus as like a concept, and it's like, it's banking off the whole, like, oh, we're siblings, but only by marriage, so technically it's not really incest, so that's what makes it hot. And it's like I'm tired of that trope in general, and Citrus is like that trope embodied in a Yuri, and it's like, okay, we get it, incest is hot, I guess, according to some people. Can we like stop, maybe, at one point? Maybe? Possibly? Like, Citrus itself is a decent love story. I really like it, but at the same time, it's like, did they really have to be, like, sisters? Did they really have to be related at all? Did we really have to add that little bit of forbidden fruit spice? I don't think so. Mushroom Girls in Love is a weird entry, because at one point, yes, it's definitely a girl's love story, but like on the complete end of the spectrum, Kei Murayama cannot write a story without bogging it down with the most bizarre and most in-depth world building. Like, you didn't have to go that deep, dude. You could have just written this cute story about mushroom girls. You didn't have to write a story about, like, political intrigue and sadness. And you didn't have to tell us every single little thing about this weird mushroom woman society. But you did. And it's like, I'm just here for girl kissing books. Why? Why Kei Murayama? Why? I feel I would have been a little more into Kindred Spirits on the Roof if I had played the visual novel. I feel like it was a decent couple of stories, but I definitely felt a little disconnected because of the fact that this is a couple stories, and they're both based off this visual novel that I've never played. And while I appreciate the Yuri, I would have appreciated something where I had a little more context, so I could, like, feel attached to, like, the world and the background characters who exist in this world as a whole. Yeah. Voiceful is sweet to the point of diabetes. It's more of a two girls falling into a very deep and close friendship more than love. This is, though, a very light, very, very fluffy girls' love story. It's not anything all that intimate and all that romantic, as opposed to other titles in this list. And that's why it's so low. It's a beautiful story. It's very cute. I really like it. It's a little out of print. Good luck finding it. But in terms of how, like, actually, like, romantic it is between two girls, it's more of just a very deep bond or a friendship, voiceful. And I came to see girls kiss. Revolutionary Girl Utena is a fucking classic, and this box set is absolutely stunning, and I love it to bits, but at the same time, if you really want to get into Revolutionary Girl Utena, the anime is a much, much better choice. If you want to get some pretty books, then get the box set, but in terms of, like, overall, like, fulfillment and entertainment value, and more of a fleshed out complete story, Revolutionary Girl Utena is a series best consumed in an anime sort of format. Hana and Hina is a very nice and sweet Yuri. It's very inoffensive, very nice love story, but for the life of me, I can't remember a single fucking thing that happens in this Yuri. Like, I can't even remember any detail, which is not a good sign. Like, it's nice if you just want a Yuri to just consume and be like, oh, that's very sweet, of a very nice, genuine romance. Thank you, Milk Morinaga. But at the same time, it doesn't linger very long. It's not very impactful. It's cute, and it'll leave you feeling fluffy inside for like a day, but then you'll put it on your shelf, and then you'll be like, what was Hana and Hina about? I totally fucking forget. Secret of the Princess is very much the same. I remember the core concept, though, and that's why it hangs above Hana and Hina just a little bit, and it's also a one-shot, so it's easy to consume. I really liked it. It was nice. Once again, Milk Morinaga. It's hard to go wrong with Milk Morinaga. And she spins a good tale. And Secret of the Princess is a fine tale that she has spun. I'm not the biggest fan of love triangles. They're really not my thing, unless they're done in a certain way. It's very hard for me to actually feel attached to a story about a love triangle. And Nameless Asterism, I'm still fucking bitter that it doesn't end in a polyamorous sort of deal. I don't know how it ends, actually, because this fucking Yuri takes forever between volumes to come out, but according to sources, it does not end the way that I want it to, which is sad, and I don't like love triangles, especially this very specific love triangle, because I like all three girls, and I want all three girls to be happy, and knowing full well that one of them isn't going to be fulfilled is just, burns me very, very bad. You never forget your firsts. Strawberry Panic was my first Yuri, and thus holds a very special place in my heart. It's very generic, it's very just classic, just Yuri tropes everywhere. It's not the deepest story, it's not the most innovative story, but it's my first, and it's my dear, dear first Yuri that I ever consumed, and it's just gonna be special to me, no matter how you slice it, no matter how dull and predictive it gets. It's still up there in my faves, because it's the thing that introduced me to this beautiful, beautiful lily-laden genre. I married my best friend to shut my parents up is, thankfully, not NTR Netsuzo Trap, which means that the mangaka Kodama Naoko can write a story without it being fucking gross, which is fine. And I think the only reason that this is so high up on my list is because I came in with such below dirt expectations after reading this author's former work, that when I read it and it was okay, that I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. It might eventually be dropped down a couple pegs as time goes on, but I'm just riding the high of the fact that this was not fucking gross and annoying. This was fine, and that's cool as hell. Eclair is a delicious series of Yuri one-shots, and I'm just absolutely fucking tickled pink that Yen Press finally went ahead and licensed the rest of the Eclair one-shot collection. And it's very short, very sweet Yuri stories, and they're all unique in their own little way. They're nice little Yuri snacks, and I love it. Eve and Eve is a series of short stories, some of them taking place in the far future, some of them taking place in current day. Some of the stories in here hit the mark very, very hard with me. I absolutely love them, and then some of them have like this really kind of rapey vibe, and that kind of turns me off. This is probably one of the more sexual Yuri we've gotten in a long time, but at the same time, it's not like it's not ecchi sexual, it's just intimate, very, very intimate, and that's cool. I like the fact that we're getting more sort of less light and fluffy, oh I love you Yuri stories. I like this thing that girls have like a sexual drive too, y'all. Girls like to also have the sex, and yeah, even he was pretty fucking cool. I wish some of the stories weren't as, but it's pretty fucking cool. I like it. Kashimashi is a little bit of an older piece in my collection. I hold on to it because of nostalgia and the fact that it's kind of a Yuri. It's a little... I really like it, even though it's a love triangle, and even though, like, a good, like, 2/3 of the narrative just sort of rides on the fact that our main character used to be a boy until he was, like, absolutely maimed to death by an alien spaceship, and then his body was rebuilt as a girl, and the rest of the fucking, like, 2/3 of the manga is him like, oh man, I'm a girl now, I have to act like a girl, even though I used to be a guy, and girls don't like other girls, so this is all very confusing. And, I gotta readjust the way I'm sitting so I can continue to talk about this. The love triangle in this is pretty fucking cool. I actually like the love triangle in this, which is very rare, but it ends very, very sweetly in just the way that I wanted it to. It's one of those love triangles where everybody wins and not like somebody gets spurred and heartbroken in the end. And yeah, that's why I like Kashimashi Girl Meets Girl. Even though it really hinges, it really, really, really rides the fact that our main character used to be a boy in the very beginning of the book. But yeah, it's pretty neat. Not enough people read it. More people should read Kashimashi. It's pretty unique in its premise as far as the Yuri goes. Kisses, Sighs, and Cherry Blossom Pink is sort of a series of short stories that eventually lead into an overarching plot. These are more sort of earlier works of Milk Morinaga, so they're not as like cutesy and polished as their current work is, but it's still got that nice Milk Morinaga flair. It is really fucking good, and it's definitely a good introductory manga if you want to get to Milk Morinaga without having to buy like multiple volumes. It's nice and thick. It's pretty good, and I fucking love it. Whispered Words, while being plagued by translation errors, what the fuck, is a really decent Yuri. It's kind of tropey in terms of like all of like the Yuri. It follows a lot of Yuri tropes. It doesn't really push the envelope all that hard. You've read Whispered Words plenty of times in other stories, but it does those things well, and it is adorable as shit, and when it gets dramatic, it lets itself get dramatic as fuck, and honestly, the inner drama queen in me just feeds off of Whispered Words very, very much, and yeah, it's a like, I think it's like a 3-in-1 omnibus, and there's like 3 volumes, so it's a pretty long series in terms of Yuri, and yeah, it's pretty fucking good. I know I can't say anything more than that. It's not terrible, but it's not the best thing I've ever read. It's just pretty fucking good. drinking game where you take a shot every single time somebody in this manga cries. Actually, don't do that, because someone is constantly crying in this manga. You can't go like 2 or 3 pages without somebody bawling their eyes for multiple panels. And holy shit. But Transparent Light Blue, it's a cute story. I really liked it. It's just so much fucking crying. Why do we gotta cry so much? Why are we just all sobbing at the drop of a fucking hat in this one? Why? Also, the mangaka has like an ear fetish and a bat. Beauty and the Beast Girl is an adorable one-shot. It is absolutely fantastic. I love this one so much. It is such a cute Yuri love story. You have to get over a couple things. One of the main protagonists' names is fucking Yuri Blind. She's a blind woman in a Yuri, and her name is Yuri Blind. Every single time someone says her name, I have to like put the book down and roll my eyes as hard as I fucking can. And also, the Beast Girl, our other protagonist, who's like the monster chick, she could have been a little more monstrous. She could have like had a snout. She could have had some like teeth. But I'm not gonna complain. This is a decent love story. It's just got a couple of things that just make it ridiculous. Yuritopia? Never heard of her. I fucking love Shit Books Are Falling. I fucking love Kissin' My Lily for My Dearest Girl. I love the overabundance of Yuri relationships that happen in this book, and it sort of winds around and comes back to our main protagonists, these two, every couple of like stories of girls who fall in love at their school or so. And I just like that. I just like stories about girls falling in love. And Kissin' My Lily for My Dearest Girl, it's not a series of short stories, it's all one overarching plot with a whole bunch of girls falling in love. And that is cool as shit. I like that sort of thing. Miss me with that Yuritopia nonsense. I fucking love Kissin' My Lily for My Dearest Girl. And that's the hill I will die on. It's fucking good. Yeah. Yuri Is My Job is an excellent foray into the Yuri genre for Kodansha. It is a Yuri that plays on like the strongest, most prominent of Yuri tropes. It pokes fun at them and sort of makes fun of the genre itself while also being a decent romance at like the core of it all. It's about this girl who works at a Yuri cafe, and so on the surface you have like her working in the cafe and them sort of playing out these very tired, very old Yuri tropes that have been done to death, but at the same time you've got the girls like in the back, like outside of their business, actually forming relationships with each other. It's pretty fucking neat. I really fucking like it. I can't wait to see where it goes. I fucking love it. It's nice. It's nice, and I'm glad that it wasn't something that Kodansha decided to publish digitally and then never release. Yuri Bear Storm is a manga adaptation of my favorite fucking anime, so how could I not put it very high on my list? And the fact that it's not just a one-for-one sort of manga remake, and it's actually an original story with the same characters and kind of vaguely the same story beats, is really fucking cool. And so it kind of leaves me not like, oh, and then this is gonna happen, and then this is gonna happen. It's actually leaving me on like, just waiting for the next volume to come out, because I don't know what's gonna fucking happen. And it introduces this element of intrigue and mystery that I wouldn't have gotten if this was just, like I said, a one-for-one remake of the anime, and that's cool as shit. And also, the manga author is for sure 100% a lesbian, and that is cool as hell. The artist anyway. That's what I mean. The artist is. She's cool. Fucking love her. Love that bitch. Kase-san and is a fucking crack. I fucking love Kase-san. It is cute. It is the perfect perfect balance of being absolutely adorable, squishy Yuri romance, and being a little more intense, being a little more intimate. Yeah, that's the word. Being a little more intimate than most Yuri. It definitely walks that line and keeps a very, very good balance between the two. It doesn't feel so fluffy and so cutesy that it sort of takes you out of the story, but at the same time it doesn't feel gross, and it doesn't feel very fetishizing when it comes down to the more intimate moments. It is very nice, and I fucking love it. It's great. Watch the movie that goes along with this. It is a masterpiece. I fucking love it. Read and/or watch Kase-san. It is great. Bloomin' to You is just all around just completely fantastic. Like, if you want to, like, get into Yuri and you want to, like, read, like, a series, Bloomin' to You ain't gonna steer you wrong. It is a nice Yuri, and I fucking love it. It is just, it doesn't falter in a lot of places. It pretty much has remained very steady throughout the whole series. I think it's like at volume 6. Yeah, we're at 6 volumes right now, and it hasn't like stumbled, or there was no point where I felt like, oh, this is getting fucking tiresome. God, like, there wasn't a point in time where I felt like we were chasing our tail and running in circles. This is a wonderful story, and you should be reading it. Sweet Blue Flowers is heart-wrenchingly beautiful, and it's a beautiful, realistic love story. You're not going to get a lot of, like, tropes and a lot of, like, samey stuff in Sweet Blue Flowers. It just feels very real, and it feels very, very distinct. And it sets itself apart by being... It feels a lot more true to life and doesn't really feel like, oh, it's a flowery, beautiful Yuri story. Oh, yay. It just feels like just a real story about real people. You've probably met some people in this manga before at some point. It is just very, very nice, and it's very high up there on my list. Fucking After Hours fucking came for me. I had little expectations for this going in, because it was Viz's first, like, actual kind of like Yuri work that they were publishing, and I was like, ooh, I don't know, but it is fucking great. It is absolutely wonderful. It sets itself apart right away by being a story about adult women falling in love and not, like, teenagers, and it's fucking great, and I absolutely love it. Please, please, please read After Hours. It is an amazing story. Was there ever any doubt, motherfuckers? Yeah, that's right. Girlfriends is my #1 Yuri. The manga that I constantly say is my favorite Yuri of all time. My #1 Yuri? Who would have thought? Who would have guessed? What a fucking plot twist. Holy fuck. In all honesty, Girlfriends is just the perfect cutesy Yuri romance. It is the nicest slow burn I think I've ever read. In terms of Yuri, it is nice. The romance is believable. The drama is perfectly just sprinkled in there to the point where it's not annoying. It is so, so good, and probably the best Milk Morinaga work we have currently. And it is just fan-fucking-tastic, and this is why I worship Milk Morinaga for just all of her shit. I just fucking love it. This was so good, and I will sing the highest of praises for Girlfriends forever, constantly. That's my #1 Yuri, is fucking Girlfriends. Please, dear sweet God, look into Girlfriends if you haven't already. Do it. And that's my fucking list. That's all of the Yuri one-shots and the Yuri series that I own, all arranged into a nice list. And yeah, I can't really promise I'm going to make a lot of content soon. I'm still slowly coming out of the hiatus thing that I've been going on. I'm still trying to work my shit out. But until then, enjoy this video for what it is for the time being, until I figure out what the fuck I want to do with my life. So, yeah, I will see you sexy motherfuckers in the next video that I said to put out whenever that is. But until then, I'll see you later. Bye.